Hey, good morning, folks. Welcome to the encore virtual premiere here of Sophomore Night, our sophomore post-secondary presentation. If you're watching us live, we welcome you. If you're watching the recording of this, hopefully this turned out okay. So my name is Curtis Menke. I am McHenry High School's college and career counselor. Joined today by three other speakers, three other guests we have. Mr. Myers, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. I'm Mr. Myers. I am the sophomore counselor and I handle the alphabet last name A through LE. So if that is your child's alphabet, you are more than welcome to contact me at any time.
Thank you. Mrs. Flores.
Hi, I'm Carla Flores. I'm the other sophomore counselor who works with all students, last names LF through Z. So if that's your student's last name, then it's nice to see you. I look forward to meeting you.
And we're joined today by a colleague from MCC. Kristen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Kristen Mueller. I am a new student enrollment coach at McHenry County College. So I work with all prospective students in the community, district-wide, both high school students, adults, whoever's coming into the college.
So excellent. We will hear from Kristen a little later in the presentation regarding what MCC offers. On any given year, 45 to 50% of McHenry High School grads, based on the last couple graduating classes, take their next step at MCC, whether that be in a transfer program, a 2-year non-transfer degree, certification, all sorts of things. One of our strongest partners, particularly in the area as well. So we'll hear what MCC offers here in a little bit. All right, I'm going to peel my colleagues off the screen here, and I'm going to proceed with the show. So here's who we are. You can see again from the McHenry personnel, we also have Dr. Prickett and then Patrice Frederick, who is the Assistant Principal of Student Services. This is where we are. This is a picture of the College and Career Center. For anyone who may be watching this live or recording, if you're familiar with the building, this is actually where the engineering classroom and our business classrooms used to be, on the second floor between the library and the nurse's office. We strongly encourage students to use this room on blended days. Now that you have a sophomore, they might be in a blended class or two. They are more than welcome to come to our facility on those blended days. Our room tends to be a little quieter than some of those other places in the building. And plus, if a here or there post-secondary question comes up, we're right there to answer it for them. Some other members of the class of 2025 team that you may be working with here this year or in the next couple of years. We have Maura Reed, who is the district's prevention and wellness coordinator. She's kind of like me in the sense that we serve all students and families 9 through 12. Miss Mitchell is the social worker who serves students in the class of 2025. Mrs. Nemec is the psychologist. So again, we work in that strong SEL team. Mr. Myers, Ms. Flores, Ms. Mitchell, Ms. Nemec are all there to help support your students, again, with social emotional needs. Sometimes life happens, and it's nice to have somebody there that isn't going to judge you and is just going to help you with whatever the situation is walking in the door. We have a couple of nurses here. They also have similar alpha splits like the counseling team. We have Miss Winkleman, who has the front half of the alphabet, and Miss Class, who has the last half of the alphabet. And then the Dean of Students for the class of 2025 at the sophomore level is Miss Agnello. So this is a question we ask our students. What are you looking forward to, both literally and figuratively? What's ahead? What might be out there in the next couple of years, let alone beyond these walls here at McHenry High School? These are just some belief statements that we tell ourselves every day to kind of keep us grounded with how we work with our students. We sincerely believe all students have post-secondary opportunities, and they deserve access to those opportunities. You'll see some examples of that a little later in the presentation. We do believe that sustained career success requires training beyond a high school diploma. We'll give you some examples of what that training looks like or may look like. And then the two at the bottom are the ones that I put that little box around because these are the ones that really kind of ground us on that day-to-day basis. All careers have dignity and value. We're not here to push one type of training, one type of education, one type of route on students. We're simply here to help and help your students take that next step forward. And that career development is non-linear. It is okay to not know. It is okay to still be curious about what might be out there beyond high school. Eventually, come senior year, yes, we will have to take some actions on things, but it is okay to not know and to continue to discover in this case. These are the one words that we kind of summarize our post-secondary programming into as we work with your students at every grade level. Last year was the year of imagination, the coulds, the maybes, what's out there. This year is the year of discovery. This is where we ask our students to take a look inward. Sophomore year for some can kind of be that black hole year. You're not a freshman anymore. You're not an upperclassman yet. So how do we make the most of sophomore year? This is the year where we ask our students to take a look inward. What are you interested in? What are you good at? What are your values? What's your personality? And how might those all come together and where they all intersect in that sweet spot where career possibilities might be for you? A couple other items that we're going to be getting to throughout the presentation here. We'll talk a little bit about some resources. Mr. Myers will talk about just kind of what's ahead the next couple of years, because before we get to life beyond high school, we got to finish high school. And then he and Ms. Flores will talk about some of those next step opportunities. And then Ms. Mueller will let us know what MCC offers in the wide variety of opportunities that they have. So I'm going to go over just a couple of our main resources that we offer here at McHenry High School. Every sophomore has a course in Schoology called 2025 Post-Secondary Resources. Again, post-secondary is that fancy word that means anything beyond high school. I would argue that the best resource that our students and our parents have would be us, first and foremost. In this course are our names and email addresses for students. There is a link under those names and emails that students can use to actually schedule meetings with us. So whenever they want or need to catch up about anything, they can click on that link and that appointment appears directly in our calendar. Below that, in this course, which again parents do have access to as well, are our primary digital electronic post-secondary resources. You can see them listed on the right side of the screen there. I'm going to go into a little more detail on a couple of those. The first one is our College and Career Guide. This is a document that we've created that details all sorts of how-tos and when-tos and where-tos, not only beyond our walls, but also just for planning over the next couple of years here in high school. When you open this file up, these are all hyperlinked. This is what the first page looks like. It kind of works like a website in a way. So basically, you click on whatever one you're curious about. So for instance, if you want to see at the 10th grade level, what are some actions I can take to kind of discover and explore what might be out there, you can click that. When it comes time to pick classes for the future, how do I do that in a sensible, reasonable way? You can check that out. Maybe I'm curious about how to pay for what's next. You can come over here and hit financial aid, FAFSA, and scholarships. So you get the point here. Moving on, this is another excellent resource we have. This links from that Schoology course that all of our sophomores and parents have access to. It's the second link down in the big list, and we call it our post-secondary rep visit list, or college military career speakers. Basically, on the left side of the screen, when you open this file up, it'll show you different representatives from college, military recruiters, some career speakers that we are bringing into our walls. Typically, these are in the College and Career Center, which is, again, where the counselors are based out of. So today, for instance, we have two schools coming in. Soka University of America is, at the time of this recording, literally right outside my office right now, meeting with students and letting them know what opportunities they offer at this school. Additionally, later today, just as an example, St. Anthony College of Nursing will be here during 6th period. So students who might be considering a pathway involving nursing can come down and meet with the school, see what they have to offer, see if it aligns with what they want out of that next experience beyond these walls. I encourage sophomores to come to 2. That is my goal and my challenge to all sophomores. Come to 2 of these. By the way, this is an example of 4 schools. This list is close to 50 schools long, or representatives or recruiters or career speakers, and will continue to grow throughout the semester and going into second semester. If that rep happens to align with a lunch period or a study hall, come on down. If it's during a class, let's say that your student is really interested in nursing and they want to meet with St. Anthony College of Nursing, and it just happens to be during their chemistry class. Students can ask that teacher, preferably a day in advance, if they can come to the College and Career Center to meet with that school. Most teachers are pretty accommodating with that. Again, most understand the value that students get by talking with these reps. But again, students are responsible for that work, so we ask them to be polite and courteous and to ask that teacher preferably a day in advance if it's okay that they go attend that speaker. On the right side, The other column here we have are going to be larger scale presentations or events. Typically, these would be things that might be in the auditorium. They could even be things that are out in the community. So for instance, on Tuesday of next week, which would be October 4th from the time of this recording, October 4th, 2022, MCC is hosting a big four-year college fair. So if college is something your student is considering, I would encourage you to go check that event out. It is 5:30 to 7:30 at MCC, and you can meet with potentially over 100 reps from over 100 different schools and get an idea of what they offer. Additionally, I'll throw out one other plug that I got a feeling is going to come up a little later on in this presentation as well. The evening of October 12th, right here at McHenry High School in the Center for Science and Technology and Industry, which is the new wing of our building. It's going to be our annual Manufacturing Trades and Industry Expo, otherwise known as the MTI Expo. So if your student is considering workforce training opportunities, can't stress this enough, that is a must-attend event. We'd love to see you there. One other tool and resource we have in that Schoology course is Naviance. So this is a tool that can help students research careers themselves. I will say the thing Naviance is best at is actually the first item on this list right here, and that is identifying colleges that might be a fit for what that student is looking for. So for instance, if your student is looking for a four-year public school in Montana that has a forestry major and an intramural ultimate frisbee league. If it exists, it'll find it. And it actually just so happens to exist. It is the University of Montana. So we can run filtered searches with students. You can see some of the other things that Naviance does. However, at the sophomore and kind of into the junior level, that college exploration tends to be the thing that students use Naviance for the most. I'm going to hand things over here to Mr. Myers. Let me pull you on screen, Mr. Myers. There we go. To talk about the opportunities that McHenry High School offers. Mr. Myers.
Yeah, so what this slide is going to show is sort of the planning you'll see for the 4 years that your student will be attending McHenry High School. And what you can see under each grade level are the required courses, and then where it says elective underneath, that's where students have choice. Now, this is not necessarily set in stone, depending on what students do during summer school to get ahead and get some of the required classes out of the way in the summer prior to the year. But as you naturally progress, you see 11th grade next year, because Ms. Flores and I will be meeting with students during the winter time to discuss what they're going to do 11th grade, but it also blends into 12th grade, because as we're talking, not only are we looking at just next year, we're looking at the years beyond to make sure that whatever career interest they have or the goal that they have for their next step after high school, we can achieve that by helping them pick not only within the range of the required classes, but also their elective classes. And again, summer school does play a role. We are already talking to our sophomores about classes they could take in the summer to get ahead and clear up their 12th grade schedule a little bit, where some might take consumer or government prior to their senior year to open up the chance for more electives. And the last column there is just their total, and this is what's required to graduate from McHenry High School District 156. So Ms. Flores and I both track our students' progress with graduation checklists. We go over them with our students and make sure that they are on track for graduation. Okay, Mr. Mackey, next slide. One of the things that we also have at McHenry High School are some course pathways. So what that basically is, it's a fancy term for, we have programs that help students get started in possible career paths that they are considering. These mean that they are multi-year or multi-semester classes where students can opt, for example, if they really want to go into the manufacturing sector, they want to go out and work for a company and be a CNC machinist, or they want to do any other have another occupation within the manufacturing realm. We have classes such as metals and woods that students will take, and then they advance into the manufacturing class, so they can just start with manufacturing. And then they move on up to manufacturing 2, and then seminar, where they really delve deep into what that would be. Culinary arts being another very popular program that we have. Students can start with the basic culinary 1, and then they can move on to baking and pastry culinary 2, and work all the way up to warrior chef, where they're actually acting and performing tasks that they would do in the restaurant and culinary world. So the pathways, and this is what we will do with the students when they take certain surveys or interest surveys or career surveys. And we talk to them just in general. We have courses that build one on top of the other, and it gives a nice segue to get them prepared for the next step after high school. Okay. Dual credit and AP classes. So these are becoming very popular, and we offer quite a great number of them here at McHenry High School. What dual credit means, as you read there, is we do have instructors, teachers here at school that are certified by McHenry County College to teach courses that not only will your student receive high school credit towards their graduation here, they're actually earning credit through McHenry County College. So they're already establishing a transcript at McHenry County College where they're earning college credit at the same time. So a benefit of dual credit courses is that if your student is thinking of going on to college, whether it be at MCC or if they're thinking of going to a 4-year school, those classes, for the most part, almost all of our classes here will transfer to a 4-year school where your student will already receive credit for taking that class. So, for example, if your student's thinking of going to Illinois State University, for example, in senior year, they take our English 151 class. The English, the college composition, is the class that we offer senior year. The 151 designation is the number that MCC has for their college writing course at MCC. So not only would they receive credit towards graduation here, they've already established that grade, and that's 3 credit hours of college credit that you, parent, would not have to pay for in the future. It saves both our students time and money when they're heading off to college. The one thing with dual credit, if your child does take any, or your student, excuse me, takes any dual credit courses, they are establishing a transcript already over at McHenry County College. So when they do apply to universities, if they're going to go directly to a 4-year school, not only do they need to request their McHenry High School transcript to be sent to colleges that they're applying to, but they would also need to have their McHenry County College transcript sent as well. And the student would do that by submitting a request to McHenry County College whenever they apply to any college or university. AP, advanced placement, we offer a great number of courses in that as well. College credit can be earned with advanced placement courses by taking an AP exam. The students can decide if they want to take an AP exam for an AP course they're taking. They do not have to take the AP exam if they don't want to. That is a parent decision, and we can help with that decision by talking with both the parent and the student about it. But depending on the score earned on the AP exam, different colleges can reward students with credits earned towards their degree at that university. For some colleges and universities, by scoring a 3, for example, where it says Illinois public schools must accept or give credit for scores of 3 or above. So if your student is taking AP World History this year, and they take the AP World History exam, or in the future they take the AP Government or AP Language and Comp exam their junior year, if they score a 3 or above, Illinois public schools must grant credit. So what does that do? That saves the students time, so they're actually working towards their degree and can finish earlier if they wish. but it also helps with saving parents money too, because you're being granted college credit that you will not have to pay for. When it comes to the college and university, depending on the score, let's say they score a 4, they may receive more credit than if scoring a 3. And if they score a 5 on the AP exam, they can receive more credit than scoring a 3 or a 4. Each school handles that differently, and that would be something that you would want to investigate. And Ms. Flores, myself, Mr. Mackey, can help in that respect so you understand what can be granted. But the best person to talk to, honestly, about that would be the college admissions officer of the college or university that your student's interested in. Nothing beats talking directly to the representatives at the university about questions you have regarding dual credit and AP. Okay. We do 4-year course planning and 4-year college. What's required there. You can see in the graphic underneath, most 4-year colleges require the following. You can see what's there. That is naturally built into our curriculum here for graduation purpose at McHenry High School. So that is something that's already required of your students. So they're set for that. World language is kind of the tricky one down at the bottom. And this is where students, when they're exploring colleges, really need to investigate this aspect, and we can help with that as well. World language is not required by many of the 4-year colleges, but there are colleges out there and universities that will require a minimum of 2. And that is something that actually students need to start thinking about. And we talk about with students during our meetings with them, that there are some highly selective colleges. They typically require 2, and colleges that are most selective. And we're talking about some of the more elite and prestigious schools that people would know by name and reputation. They do require 4. So when we meet with students and talk about course selection, we do ask them what their post-secondary plan is. And if some of them are, if they are considering college, then we have the discussion about world language with them at that point. World language can be a tricky situation with some colleges, and the more years of world language seems to be the more doors are open in terms of the number of colleges that you could be looking at as a potential student attending that college or university. Okay. Next slide, Mr. Maggie. We do have a Distinguished Warrior program, and what this is a great honor for students at graduation. It's something they can put on college applications or on job applications as well. Distinguished Warrior basically means that a student has performed to a certain academic standard. They have taken a certain number of courses that are considered what we call capstone courses, and we work with students on that. There are certain levels of English and math that must be taken. Attendance junior and senior year needs to be 95% or higher. And Mr. Eiserman, the assistant principal, works with students if there's any question about that. He is the go-to for questions about Distinguished Warrior. We can help with students being successful with Distinguished Warrior, but when it comes down to specific questions, Mr. Eiserman wants all the questions referred to or emailed to him, since he's the one who oversees the DW program. We also, students need to do volunteer hours, and we're going to be having a meeting where Mr. Eiserman's going to explain what the volunteer hours are and how to achieve them, but also how to enter them. Many of our sophomores have figured out already where to enter them and are doing that already. But Distinguished Warrior is great because it does show that you performed at a high level academically, you did community service or volunteer hours, you took a certain level of math or English, and then there's two designations with Distinguished Warrior. There's Distinguished Warrior, and the grade point average for that is 2.8 average over your 4 years here. So you're graduating with that. We also have Distinguished Warrior with honors. and distinguished warrior with honors are for those that achieve a 3.75 GPA or above average for their 4 years here at McHenry High School. So a lot of our students are working towards that, and if they have any questions, or you do, please reach out to the counselor, Ms. Flores or myself, or you could email Mr. Eisenman, who is in charge of the DW program. Okay, Mr. Mankey. We do work with students that are considering playing college level athletics. If your student is someone who's interested in pursuing that, they can talk to Ms. Flores or myself, or they can talk to Mr. Mankey. And we help them with the process of showing them where to go through to prove that they're academically eligible through the NCAA. The NCAA has the eligibility center where they do the NCAA clearinghouse. And when we find students who are considering playing NCAA sports, one of the things that we make sure they do is in the middle of that screen, right next to the last A in NCAA, but they need to achieve 16 credits or 16 points, as I call it. Mr. Mankey's pointing that out now. A lot of those will be achieved naturally just through the graduation requirements we have at McHenry High School. But when it comes to when students choose their elective classes, not all of our elective classes are approved NCAA courses. So and that also rings true with the English choices they can take senior year as well. There are some English electives that are not NCAA approved. So we make sure that they earn those 16 approved core courses, and my lights just went out. There we go. So we work with students with that, and we can also show them where the eligibility center, how to access that. And once they're in there, then Mr. Mankey and others take over, and they make sure that their transcripts are sent and downloaded to the NCAA portal for review by the NCAA and coaches to make sure that the prospective athlete is eligible to participate come freshman year. Okay, next slide. Mr. Mankey kind of touched on this earlier when he was talking about careers and interests and the next step. But when we talk to our students about career exploration, we really hit on these 4 keys here. We want to make sure that they're looking at careers that they're actually interested in. The interest is important, because when you're talking to the student and they're saying, well, I really think I might want to work in this industry, and maybe it's dealing with children, and then you find out that they really don't like kids, that might not be the right choice for them. Or if they're thinking of this career and then we tell them, well, it's more paperwork than anything else, it's good to know those things. So we want to find careers where it matches what their interests are at a personality level. And then skills, we want to make sure that they do have the proper skills, or at least they know what skills need to be developed if they don't have them yet, but the skills required for that. The values, what do you want out of a profession? Why do you want this to impact your life while you're doing the profession, and all that is required of that profession? Does that meet with the values that you have when it comes to what you want later on in life and what you value internally as important to you, both on a moral and a personal aspect? And then personality, do you have the right personality for that trade or for that position? And when we talk about career, there's such a wide span of careers that are out there. But to the people that you're going to be working with, the clientele that you're going to be working with, and the person that you are with your personality, does that really match up with the career that you're really thinking of exploring? So we work with the students going over all of that with various programs that we have here at school. Okay. And then obviously we will be working with your student with the next step, the post-secondary training and education. So like Mr. Mankey said, we do have a high number of students when they're going on to the next step, and college is part of that step. McHenry County College is a great partner for us. not only do students start their possible 4-year college career there, but when you talk about the workforce training off to the right there, McHenry County College really partners with a lot of industries and businesses and agencies, unions throughout the McHenry County, where they do some dual work together, where the industries and the businesses actually use MCC for many of its training and education that they want their students to get into. Military's on the bottom left. We do have military representatives from all branches that do visit the high school. With Mr. Mankey, where he showed where the colleges are showing up today, they're also on that slide presentation, or in that program we have. In green will be when the military visits come. So when we meet with Ms. Flores and I meet with students and they tell us, oh, I'm interested in the Marines or the Air Force or the Navy, we direct them to that site too, because then it'll tell them when they're going to be here to speak to our students. Then they come in and they can meet the recruiters and hear what life is like in that. But we also help them prepare for the tests that the military does require them to take, and that's on the next slide. 4-year school, we definitely use Naviance a lot for that, and we also use Common App. We walk students through the financial aid process, how to find scholarships, finding the best fit. There's a wonderful program that my daughter used at her high school, that we use at our high school, that really helped narrow her focus with 100% what she wanted. She was able to find schools that had what she wanted. If 4-year, starting right away to 4-year school is the next step, we really start working with those students junior and senior year to make sure that they're getting everything into the colleges and universities that they're applying to make sure that they are all the proper paperwork and information is sent there so they can be reviewed for admission. The workforce training up at the top right, like I said, we have wonderful partners in McHenry County. We have McHenry County Workforce, which we can always invite into the school and meet with students if they want to go into a trade, if they're looking to get internship or an apprenticeship, and possibly through that internship and apprenticeship, we have many students who have started out in the workforce and they've become such a valued employee that they will actually turn to MCC. And what they'll do is they'll send the students their employee there for more training, and sometimes they could pay for partial, if not all, of the training needed to earn their certificates, and any certificates or training they need, or licenses is the word I'm looking for, to further their career advancement within the company that they're working for. And thus, if they decide to transfer or move out of state, a lot of those just go with them. So McHenry County College and our workforce work hand in hand, and they're a great partnership. Okay, Mr. Mankey. We did mention military. Recruiters do come in. The ASVAB is the test that I was talking about. One of the things that we get them prepared for, that is like the military version, I call it, of the ACT or SAT. The military does require recruits to earn a certain score on the ASVAB to be admitted to the military, but also doing better on that ASVAB test, they can qualify to be in some more in-depth training or certain programs within the military. Depending on that, we can help your student get ready for the ASVAB. We have lots of programs that we can do. And down at the bottom, as it's scrolling, we do have the ASVAB taken here at McHenry High School. So that is where your student can take it. Okay. All right, next slide. And I'm now going to be turning it over to Ms. Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. As mentioned earlier, workforce training is one of the pathways your students might find themselves leaning towards after high school. So essentially, workforce training, whether that's going to a trade school, technical school, getting an apprenticeship, working on a certification program, these are all careers that don't necessarily require an advanced level educational degree, but they still require some form of formal training or education after high school. What we really want to emphasize, and Mr. Myers did a great job of already explaining all the local opportunities that we offer. So what your students can do now as sophomores, as we're meeting with me, Mr. Myers, Mr. Menke, is just communicate to us what they're interested in at the moment so that we can inform them of everything coming their way. October 12th again was already highlighted as a must attend event. So if your students are free that evening, please encourage them to go. There's going to be a lot of these local resources and opportunities there in attendance looking to talk to your students. So yeah, we have and then also I want to emphasize to students too that MCC houses a lot of these technical programs and certificate programs that they might find themselves looking into in the future. Kind of based on what I just said there too, in the next slide, it highlights with MCC the certificate programs. This is only about a third of the certificate programs that MCC offers. So it's just meant to show students that there's a lot of opportunity out there. The way these certificate programs work at MCC is it's career specific training and education. Essentially, you're not going to take general education classes in English, math, or science. You're going to be taking classes specifically focused on the program that you're in. For some of these programs, it could mean taking 1 or 2 classes or maybe up to 8 or 10. It really just depends on that specific program, but you're focused on getting your education and training in that specific career. Now, if your student is looking into going to either a 2 or 4-year college and getting their associate's or bachelor's degree after high school, here are some of the factors to look into. Each student is gonna, factors and priorities are gonna weigh out differently. So it's a very individualized process. But what your students can start doing now in sophomore year is start paying attention to what is a need factor versus what is a want factor. When we talk with students, we emphasize that this is a great time to start doing that and start building up a college list because there isn't the pressure of applying to colleges right now and deadlines. That's 2 years away in senior year. So this is a great time to get that search process going. And that's something we can help your students with. A lot of the resources we mentioned in the beginning, for example, Naviance, help students start this process. So some of the main things to look at is get a sense of what your student is interested in doing, maybe starting at MCC, if they're looking to eventually transfer over into a 4-year school, or if they're looking to go directly into a 4-year school. How close or how far proximity to home, how close do they want to be to McHenry, Illinois is a big factor. How accessible is transportation to get back home and from campus? What programs and majors are offered. So obviously based on what career and major your student is pursuing, making sure that the school offers a strong program in that career. How small or big the school is, what's the enrollment size, how many students, what is that campus life like? And then to the right on this slide, it also shows many other factors that students want to consider. For example, I've had a lot of students saying like, hey, I'm looking for a school with a swim team, or what's most important to me outside of the classroom is playing soccer, right? So just different things. It might be what athletic programming is available. It might be Greek life, or might be what type of housing options or what dorm life will look like. A lot of these things might just seem like a list of, might be just words to your students right now. So what we explain to students in a good way to start getting a sense of what this really means and how to apply this to what they could see in the future is attend those college rep visits when we have them come to the College and Career Center, because then you start, learning more about what do these factors mean and what do they look like at different campuses. So I would say for sophomores to make it their goal to attend 2 of these college and career or 2 of these college visits while we have reps coming to the high school. And then we also have in the next slide too, even beyond having conversations with reps that come to the high school, as available to the family and student, and try to go visiting college campuses. So whether that's, during any days off from school or anything, like start, building a list and seeing which colleges are accessible to go visit. Junior and senior year students are allowed to miss 2 days during the school day specifically for college visits. They just get a form from us and then take it over to the attendance office because we want them to be able to attend a school in person, because it really does make a difference versus learning about a school online and having a conversation with someone versus actually seeing how do you feel on that campus when you're walking around, since that would be the environment and place where you spend a lot of significant amount of time in after senior year. Now, these are some factors as far as applying to the school and the process of getting admitted. So on the left side, this kind of shows a lot of the primary factors and what schools are going to be pretty focused on as far as admitting your students to school. So grades and GPA, that's something that schools are will definitely be looking into, as well as the strength of schedule, meaning based on how much, like the level of how much is your student challenging themselves in their schedule, right? So if honors or AP classes or taking advanced level classes in the pathway that they're interested in, grade trends as well. So that meaning like showing signs of improvement, right? Even if they did, like, for example, if they didn't have a strong start to high school in their grades freshman year, showing how much improvement they can make from one semester or year to the next. So colleges pay attention to patterns as well in grades. And then test scores if the school does require or give the students the option to send their test scores as well. Now, college applications, they're also, depending on how selective the school is, students will get asked for more components in the application. They might ask for essays or for students to provide letters of recommendation from teachers or counselors. They might want to know more about what involvement do they have outside of the classroom, so clubs, sports, any type of extracurriculars. And then demonstrated interest. Some schools will pay attention to, have you gone to any events? Like if the high school or if the college came to our high school at any point, did that student go and attend a session? Have they talked to the admissions rep at any college fairs? So just different ways to promote or to show the student's interest in attending that school. Sometimes your student will see college applications that if you meet a certain GPA, they might only look at the left side of it, or if the student doesn't meet the GPA requirements that the school is looking for, they might ask for additional components such as the essays or letters of rec. But overall, if your student is applying to highly selective schools, they will also get asked for some of these secondary factors that you see. Now students, they're going to have a lot of support in the building here for when it comes to college admissions. That's coming from me, Mr. Myers, Mr. Menke, as well as their English teachers if it comes to essays and just different things like that. Sophomores, what I would say to do now is, in addition to working on, focusing on academics and getting good grades, is pay attention to any teachers you have a particular connection with and that you like working with, and just continue to build that relationship so that come senior year you have a strong connection with teachers that could write you letters of recommendation in the future. If your student has a 504 or IEP plan, it's important to know that in college, those supports can still continue and they can still get some supports at the college level. Public schools are obligated to provide disability services for students. The process does look different though than it is in high school. There's more autonomy on the students' end to seek those supports and find the offices of disability services at campuses and to provide that documentation. We do have a presentation on November 3rd. It'll be at 6 p.m. That'll focus more on the details of that process. And then on the screen below, you see there's the contact information and location of disability services at MCC as well. So here, what we want to show students and families as well is that that a lot of these universities have specific free tuition programs in our state of Illinois, meaning if any family has an income threshold within a certain range, exactly what the threshold is will depend on the school. A lot of times students will automatically become eligible for free tuition and fees at those schools. So that could knock off thousands of dollars from the cost of attendance. So a significant chunk of how much it costs to go to that school. So we just wanted to highlight some of those programs at these different public schools. And then we also wanted to note that there are some schools who might not market a specific free tuition program or promise or commitment, but they still have significant financial aid that they offer to students within certain income thresholds. So we want you all to know that there is a lot of opportunity for students that come from low income families to still get a lot of access to college and make that price affordable. In addition to that, and talking about money, financial aid is an important thing for everyone to consider when it comes to school. In the earlier slide, when I was talking about factors, parents might have noticed that we had the cost on the right side of the screen where it was saying secondary factors to consider. Um, we say that because, well, initially as sophomores, we want students focusing on all the academic and social factors as well, because we don't want money to be a barrier to an option that could work for a student. Financial aid is something that your students will apply to senior year, and that helps the cost of attendance go down for schools. So it's hard to know exactly what a school is going to cost until you've received that financial aid offer. However, me, Mr. Myers, Mr. Menke, we can help your student utilize resources to help get a sense of what a school could cost and how financial aid helps. What we want students to know now is at least that there is financial aid available to apply to. There's 3 types I'll highlight here. The first type of financial aid is grants. Grants mean free money. You don't owe that money. There's no strings attached in a sense. Like if you receive a grant from the government or directly from the school, it's a gift to help you pay for your education. The second type of financial aid is loans. So student loans, your students will be offered loans to help pay for school as well. So students would be borrowing money to help them pay for school now, and then would owe that money after they graduate or after they leave school. So we can help students understand a little bit more about that process and how to borrow responsibly, help them make sense of what are interest rates, what's a maximum loan amount, and all that kind of financial stuff that sophomore students tend to not be as well versed or experienced with at the moment. The third type of financial aid is work study. So this is essentially a type of financial aid that the government offers where students have the opportunity to seek a job on campus and get hired. This could range from working in the dining hall, working in a library, being a tour guide. There's so many options based on the campus. And all the money that is earned through that employment counts as the financial aid that the student is receiving. So that could be another option of students working towards bringing down that cost of attendance. So work study is something that students can indicate their interest in when they're seniors and continue to work through that process at the college level. The FAFSA is the application that helps you apply for these federal programs that I just kind of worked through and explained. So that is something that your students will apply to senior year in October. So for the current senior class, that's something they'll start working on tomorrow. But for your sophomores, they're 2 years away from that process, but it's good that you are familiarizing yourself with this now. And it's something that they'll continue to do every year, every October, prior to a year that they'll still be a college student. Also, since the class of 2021, completing the FAFSA is a graduation requirement in the state of Illinois, because we want students aware that there's financial aid and we don't want them leaving potential money out on the table. So essentially what happens when you complete the FAFSA is the cost of a school is considered, and then it subtracts out from the FAFSA what it'll calculate what the student's financial need is. Now that financial need will get applied through different schools and the different costs. And then what happens is each college works to meet that student's financial need in full. That's what makes the FAFSA so important for any students, whether they're going to a 4-year school, 2-year school, certificate program, technical school. Like there's a lot of these post-secondary options that we've worked through are financial aid eligible. So this is something that will continue to work with you and your students and support you through that process. Also, students, scholarships, in addition to applying for the FAFSA, applying for scholarships is a crucial part because anything that the school and FAFSA isn't able to meet in full with your financial need, any amount in scholarship money helps decrease that cost even more for you. We have plenty of scholarship opportunities at the local level. There's scholarships at the state and national level as well. So we highly encourage students to apply for any scholarship that they meet the minimum criteria for. We've had like organizations offering scholarships for students, and they're like waiting and waiting, deadline approaching, no one having applied to the scholarship yet. So we really try to encourage students to apply because they never know if they might be, the best or exact applicant that they're looking for, or even in some cases, one of the only ones that apply. So, getting scholarship money isn't always as overwhelming and challenging as it seems. It's just more of a balance of navigating time to apply for scholarships and put in the work prior to those deadlines. So, yeah, that's something we'll continue working with your students on. And I will go ahead and pass it over to MCC. Thank you.
Hi. So yes, I'm going to be cover some basic information about McHenry County College as a resource for the community. So remember, we are a tool that you should continue to use after high school into your adulthood, anytime. But I'm going to go over some of these resources and knowing that it's just in your backyard. This is something that's just always available for you. So this is our contact information with the admissions and recruitment office. Feel free to contact us anytime. So, as an institution, our focus is learning and student success is our goal. So, we're just here to support the community in an accessible, affordable, and student focused way. We are open access, meaning that anyone who applies does get accepted the next business day. And we support our students in being successful with whatever it is they're looking to do. If it's one class with us, the transfer to another university, a credit program for us, as far as a certificate program or a full degree, really here to support you in your needs. And as an affordable, you are an in-district student. Anyone who lives in the McHenry area is part of our in-district tuition boundaries. So you would be paying $111 per credit hour, which is a really great price. We are student focused, so we want you to prepare you for your next steps, whether it is toward, like I said, transferring or toward a specific career area, or maybe it's just out of interest. We have a lot of things going on. So, if you haven't been on campus recently, we really encourage you to stop in. It's a lot bigger than what it looks like from the roads. So, come walk around. We have a lot of events coming up. It is both larger than you think, but also a smaller place where you get to know each other. All the instructors get to know their students. We get to collaborate across departments. So you really have a strong community feel, and it's easy to walk from one side to the other to get around to your classes. But it is large enough to have a little bit of everything. So as you walk through the college, you get to see students who are focusing on a lot of different aspects in life, which is what I think is very exciting. Parking is available anywhere you want to park. The average class size is about 20 students. So again, I mentioned you get to know your instructor and your instructor gets to know you. And yeah, we have about 8,000 students, but they're not all here at the same time. We have a lot of classes that happen throughout the day, throughout the week. People who are blended classes, meaning maybe they only come in once a week, or online classes where maybe they don't come inside the building for that class, as well as dual credit. You mentioned that a lot of students are taking classes at their current high schools. So our community is very diverse in the sense that there's a lot of things going on, a lot of different types of people of different ages, and that's what makes learning exciting at McHenry County College. So we are here to support you through the whole process. I'm a new student enrollment coach, for instance. We can help you talk about all these different pathways and options. as a sophomore, your role right now is to explore. So even sophomores, we encourage you to come out to discuss these options. I'd be happy to talk with you. But also when you get to your senior year, we can help you with that application and those next steps. Academic advisors can help you with choosing the right classes in the right order if that is your plan to transfer to get into a specific degree area, so that you're not wasting any time. You know how things are transferring one place to another if that is your goal. We can help you pay for college, making it affordable. We talked about the FAFSA and scholarships. We have lots of scholarships for our students. And as an in district student, yes, you're paying the low credit cost, but that does still add up. So we want you to make sure that you're paying really as little as possible so that you're getting a great education without, breaking the bank. And we're here to support you in your journey. So we have lots of tutoring resources, access and disability resources, student diversity locations on campus, student clubs and organizations. It's not just a place to take a class and go home, but also to engage and network with your peers and to have a great time. So, lots of things going on. And we encourage you to come out. We have a lot of events, which we may show you. I'm not sure. If not, I'll talk about them. I know it's happening too. So, as I mentioned, college is really different from high school. You get to choose not only what you're planning to study, but how you're planning to study. If you're going to, how you're creating your schedule. You're not on campus from 7 to 3, 5 days a week. You're going to be creating your own schedule. Maybe you're taking 4 classes, but you're only on campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Or maybe you're just taking one class each day. Maybe some of those classes are online. So you're not on campus as much as you are in high school, and you get to choose that flexibility. We have a lot of students who will work and also take classes. You can choose to be part time or full time. It just depends on what your goals are. We can help shape those classes to meet your particular goals. Um, as I mentioned, it shouldn't just be taking classes and going home. We want you to be as engaged as possible. And I say that for any college, of course, but try to get into internships, try to do some student work on campus, try to go to the clubs and organizations or the events that we have happening throughout the week. These are ways to complete and fill out your experience beyond just taking classes. I mentioned the cost. So an average class is 3 credits. And so it just depends on how many credit total you will have for the semester. So that would determine how much you're paying each semester. But an average class being 3 credits is about $360. Now, comparing that exact same transferable class to a 4 year institution, that's about same class for about $1,600. That same class can be about $2,300 at a private institution. Now, that's one class. Maybe you're a full time student taking 5 classes in a semester. Look at that number times five. Well, 100, it's just really, really makes a difference in how many classes you're taking, right? So if one class is $360, if you're taking 5 classes, that's going to be about $1,500 to $2,000. But if you're taking 5 classes at a private 4 year institution, that could be up to $10,000. So that really makes a difference. Of course, go back to talking about those award letter comparisons, that some colleges have a big sticker price, but scholarships can really make a big difference. But I do want to show you that at the end of the day, really do some cost comparisons so that you're aware of what you're getting into, make the right choices based off of all factors, but also being aware that, money is a factor. As I mentioned, financial aid is available, and we have lots of scholarships that students can apply to. Luckily, it's one application that you fill out to automatch you to everything you're eligible to win. So when that student is a senior, they only have to really do the application one time for this scholarship, and that could automatch you to the MCC scholarships. And we have so many different things going on. We're both a transfer institution and sort of a trade school that help you get into specific trades, specific vocational areas. So our transfer degrees are listed at the top here. We really have 4 specific different transfer degrees, and all majors fall under one of those areas. And we would help you figure out which one of those. It aligns with general education requirements for your freshman and sophomore year. So when you transfer to a 4 year institution, you're kind of focusing more in on your major at that 4 year institution, but you're taking some some of those major classes while you're at MCC as well, getting ready for that transfer plan. If you're doing a applied science degree, the AAS degree, those are our sort of trade career degrees. So we have over 30 of them. You see a couple examples listed here, but you're taking fewer general education classes and more classes specific to that particular career. So when you're done after those 2 years, you can go straight into the workforce as a going into business management or web design and development or fire science, becoming a firefighter. There's a lot of different things you can do. We also talked about certificates. We mentioned them earlier in the presentation. We have over 65 certificate programs, and they can be as little as 1 semester long, and some are a few semesters long. It depends on the number of classes and content that you need to master that particular workforce area to then go straight into the workforce. So if you want to go into fitness instructor, it's just a few classes, and then they're only in fitness instructing, so that once you get out of that, you can go become a fitness instructor. The basic nurse assistant is 1 class, and then that certifies you to be a certified nurse assistant upon completion. So they're all a little bit different, but if you're just ready to get either something small and go into the workforce, or maybe get a little taste of something to add onto your resume, or maybe you're an adult and you're doing a career change, you want to add something on your existing degree, this is a great way to get some very applied knowledge. And then finally, we have career training. So some quick training programs that are non-credit. So these do not go toward a college degree, but they're getting that licensing to go do a particular career. So if you want to be trained to become an emergency dispatcher, work for the 911 folks, that's a class you can take with us to get you the training you need to get hired as a 911 dispatcher. And it's not, you're not earning college credit, but you're getting that training for that particular program. Same with real estate. If you want to sell houses, it's 2 quick classes to then be able to sell houses. So the list goes on. A lot of stuff that goes on here. The website mchenry.edu/path allows you to explore all these different majors and career areas. And again, I can help you, or any of the counselors can help you with navigating these resources. So just know that we do have resources to help with transfer and also with career services. So utilize our resources even now as a high school student. You can use, for example, Career Coach to help you with that exploration as a sophomore. This is a great tool to go in and say, typing in, well, it's answering questions based off your interests, and it'll match you with careers that match those interests. And so maybe things you've never considered, or maybe things that will reinforce what you've already considered and help you plug in particular career names based off of that career area. So check it out. It's a really great resource. Oh, and there, other things too, but we'll keep going. So we can kind of skip this. I just want to say there's a lot of student life on campus. We kind of talked about it, but know that McHenry County College is a college. We do have a lot of things going on that are student focused outside of just classes. So you can be going into athletics. You can go and get a job on campus. You can use our fitness center. You can try out for the upcoming theater show. There's a lot of stuff that's happening here. Okay, so I mentioned a couple upcoming events. For instance, in a couple weeks, we are focusing on the manufacturing, architecture, and construction pathway. A few weeks after that, we're focusing on the arts, technology, communications, and information technology programs. So these are wide-ranging areas of interest. This is a great opportunity for a sophomore to come in and listen to faculty talk about what are things that actually happen in college and how can you apply what's going on in college to what maybe those next steps might be for you. So I hope that you come out to these sessions. I know that there are resources in the College and Career Center. If you go on our website, mchenry.edu/start, you can register for any of these upcoming virtual events to watch from your comfort at home.
All right, Kristen, thank you. I'm going to pull my colleagues, Mr. Myers and Ms. Flores, back onto the screen here. And as we close things out, well, we thank you. If you're watching live, we thank you for being here. If you're watching the recording, we thank you for tuning in. The counseling team is here to support you and your student throughout the next couple of years. We have a strong team, whether it be day-to-day needs, whether it be short-term academic planning, whether it be longer-term post-secondary planning. We are here for you. Use your resources. Use the people that are available to you. Again, thank you to Kristen over at MCC for joining us this morning, our strongest local post-secondary partner. And we leave you with the question, folks. What are you looking forward to? Thanks and have a great day.